be encouraged that your plans will succeed. Even when an emergency arises and plans get thrown out the window, still be encouraged that we can make our plans, but the Lord, He determines our steps. Do you love the idea of meal planning but just don't know where to start? Have you tried meal planning and found it too complicated and ended up spending way too much time and money? Is your family tired of the same thing for dinner because you've been just too busy to think of anything else to make? In this episode, we're going to dive into my version of a loose meal planning plan and more specifically about themed meals. Is it hard to make healthy food choices and find time to exercise because you're too busy? Welcome to Self-Care for Busy Moms. I'm your host, Susan. That was me, overwhelmed with my kids' schedules, running things smoothly and ignoring the stress that was affecting my body. But then I found ways to bring myself back to health with food, exercise, and Christ. I can't wait to share them with you too. Get your step counter and remember the sunscreen. It's time to get started on your self-care. Did you know that I have a free community of women just like you? Find ways to take care of yourself through a healthy lifestyle with food, fitness, and most importantly, with Jesus. Come join us. The link will be in the show notes. Hey friend, I joke around and say that I cook for survival, not necessarily for fun. There's times where I will enjoy it, but for the most part, cooking is a survival task that I need to do so that my family does not starve. Who's with me there? I try to get inspired by focusing on really yummy foods that my family enjoys and something that I enjoy. After all, eating really should be a pleasing experience as we nourish our body with good fuel. But the day in and day out aspect of trying to have something on the table every single day can be quite tiring. And sometimes we get into a rut. I know I get into a rut of making the same thing that I am quickly able to whip up together. So how are we able to meal plan and get a meal for our family done every day? Something that will offer some variety, some good nutrients, something that's nourishing for my kids and for our whole family. Also, eating out every night can get super expensive, and it's very unhealthy for our bodies if that is the main source of fuel for our bodies. Home cooking is always healthier because we can control the types of oils that we use and the ingredients and the seasonings that go into our meals. The more I learn about seed oils, the more I'm motivated to try to make more meals at home for my family for their health's sake. Does it mean that we never eat out or go through the drive-thru? Absolutely not. We are a busy family, as you are also. And so we do our fair share of takeouts, but I try to find easy ways and solutions so that I can be able to get home-cooked meals on the table for us so we can eat as a family, thereby minimizing the times that we end up buying dinner outside. So, since I have had such a history of having a brain freeze about what to make, I've had a long history of wanting to love the idea of meal planning and really trying out a variety along my journey of 20 years of trying to find something that works. Meal plans with grocery lists, slow cooker meal plans for 30 days, meal plans for a variety of diet plans like keto, paleo, Whole30, or vegetarian. I've tried Instant Pot meal plans. There was always a problem with these types of set meal plans. Either the food was just too foreign for my family, or my kids didn't like them, or the ingredients were specialty and were hard to find in a regular grocery store. So with all of that, having experienced the failures, and maybe there were some good varieties that we've gone and tried, but just through all of this, what I have loosely settled on is themed meals based on the types of food and cuisines that my family enjoys. I never really go to specialty stores since I have no time for that. And so all of our ingredients for our meals must be made from what is available from the local grocery store. Even Costco is not an everyday or even weekly trip. With the times that I have found that I just don't have the time to shop at Costco as frequently. Costco is probably more of a monthly trip for our family, and we focus on purchasing a lot of the non-perishables there. And maybe at that time, I'll buy a little bit of perishables that we can finish before it goes bad. Now, when it comes to ethnic cuisines, even going to the Korean market or Chinese market or Indian market for specialty spices or seasonings, it's just out of my pathway of travel. It's really hard for me to get to those places. So I find that the local grocery store stocks up on a lot of the basics of Korean, Indian, Chinese, Mexican, and many other types of cuisines. So this could look totally different for your family. Your family really may enjoy different types of foods, or you could do themed night like Meatless Monday, Taco Tuesday, Wednesday hamburgers. The main focus is to focus on the types of foods that your family really enjoys. So how would this look for our family? Well, this brings me to my first point. The first thing that I normally do is to first define the themes for my week. So this is like a high level view of my whole week. I will start by assigning a simple theme to certain days of the week, and I don't set it as like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just because that's so rigid for my schedule, because our schedules could vary in the week depending on practices that might come up that's unexpected, or lessons, or tutoring sessions that my child will have that just came up last minute. So these types of things just kind of crop up during the week, and it's really hard to sometimes plan, especially if it's close to dinner time. So I generally have a few simple themes that I focus on each week. This just helps me to reduce the decision fatigue on what I need to make or what should I make for my family. Remember to pick them according to your family's preferences, their dietary needs, and also your schedule. I will generally sit down to plan my groceries, and when I do that, I'll have a loose plan on what type of cuisine that I plan on making, if it's going to be Korean food this week, or Indian food this week, or Mediterranean food this week. This brings me to my second point. So step 2 is to assess your pantry, your fridge, and your schedule. This is more like, so we went from a high level view of the themes that you want to focus on making for this coming week. You're going to go now to the ground level view, where you're going to determine what's on hand. What food do you have, and what time do you have available? So what do you have already in the pantry or on stock to minimize the waste in shopping trips? Note the staples like rice, canned goods, or frozen veggies that you have. Also pay attention to the type of schedule that you're going to be looking at this week. If there's going to be times where you're going to be out until literally right before dinner time. So those nights I will try to plan to have a slow cooker meal that I will have already prepared maybe earlier in the day, so that when we are done and home at the time of dinner time, dinner will be ready. It just prevents the likelihood of us going through drive-through at that particular time. So now that I've done my high-level view of what types of cuisines I plan to make in a particular week, and I've done my ground-level view of seeing what I have on stock in my pantry, in my fridge, and in my freezer, as well as looking at my schedule for this coming week, I will then focus on the meal. So this is my third step. I'll pick a recipe or a dish for each theme. For you, how would this look for you? You could build a recipe bank for each theme that you have. You could start with 3 to 5 easy recipes per theme that take about 30 minutes or less to prepare. There are online examples of any types of cuisine, any type of foods that you like, I just usually Google easy, simple, blah, 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 whatever it is that I'm trying to look for. Pick it based upon your dietary needs, simplicity, and I would say the ease of putting it all together. So for our family, how this would look is that when we do a Mediterranean food theme night, I will focus on the 4 elements that we like to use for our bowls, wraps, and pizza. Then what that will mean is that we will have Mediterranean for at least a few days as we use up the ingredients that are typical for that type of food. Then we'll move into, say, Mexican themed meals, like where we're building our tacos. Then we will have tacos or bowls that are more Tex-Mex in style for a couple of days. Once we finish up the avocado spread and other ingredients that's typical for Tex-Mex foods, we will move into, say, a Korean themed night. For this, I'll focus on one dish like seaweed soup, or I may focus on an ingredient like kimchi and make multiple dishes over a span of a couple of days with kimchi. For example, kimchi bibimbap, kimchi pancakes, kimchi soup. I think you get the idea. I don't do Korean the traditional way with all the side dishes, with the soup as well as the main dish. For me, simplicity is the key for a busy mom. In the past, I would make whatever my family wanted whenever they wanted it. I found that I ended up with a lot of wasted ingredients and a lot of leftovers because no one wanted to touch last night's leftovers, and I couldn't incorporate it into the next meal because it was so different in flavor profile. So we have fallen into a loose themed meal that generally lasts for a couple of days at a time. So I'll make one batch and then we'll finish it up for the next couple of days, and then I'll do another new batch of a different type of cuisine and use that for the next couple of days. But right now we're well into fall, and during fall and especially into winter, I really like making a variety of soups. Then we'll go into the rotation of those soups, and it could be made either in the Instant Pot or on the slow cooker, depending on our schedule. By going through this process of mapping out what types of cuisine I will make, and then checking what I have in the pantry, and then noting which dishes and elements for each cuisine to focus on, what happens next is my 4th point. I'll create an actual loose meal plan with a finalized shopping list. Once I've done the shopping and all the ingredients are home, I'll start next on the step of prepping and then executing the plan. And then I'll assess and make adjustments. My recommendation is to track what works and to automate when possible. For example, if you can order your groceries for curbside pickup, I really like this option, especially when I know that I have a lot of packaged products that I just have to pick up at the grocery store. When I need to buy fresh fruits and veggies, I prefer going in person to pick those out myself. This would be step 5 and the last step to this process, which is to implement, do the prep work, and then to make the adjustments. Remember that the more often you do this, you're going to find that you're going to be building habits that'll make it easier to do this the next time. When you're starting out with this, I would start out very conservatively and aim for at least maybe 2 nights to make your meals at home if you are just starting out, and then build up from there as you get used to the rhythm of things. So you want to prep ahead. You want to track what worked for you, what worked for your family, what did they like, what did they not like. Automate when possible. So if you know that there's a bunch of stuff you have to pick up that are packaged already, then that's something you could automate for curbside pickup. And just doing this routinely will build the habit, which will make it easier for you to do this in the coming weeks. So Proverbs 16:3 says to commit your actions to the Lord and your plans will succeed. So prayerfully plan even your seemingly mundane tasks of meal planning. Pray over it. and lift it to the Lord. Ask for His guidance and for His direction on what would be the best for your family. And as you commit your actions to do what you plan unto the Lord, be encouraged that your plans will succeed. Even when an emergency arises and plans get thrown out the window, still be encouraged that we can make our plans, but the Lord, He determines our steps. That's Proverbs 16:9. So what is the one thing that you could do today from this episode? I'm just going to review the 5 steps here. Number 1 is to define your themes for the week. This would be the high-level view. And then the second step will be to assess your pantry, fridge, and your schedule. This is the ground level view. Determine what's on hand with food and with time. The third step is to pick out a recipe or dish for each theme. This is where you're going to focus on the meal. Pick one thing that you want to focus on for each of the themes. And the fourth step is to then create your loose meal plan and finalize your shopping list. And step 5 is to then implement prep, and then you make the adjustments. And then you can refine it for the next time. If you enjoyed this episode, please share this with another busy mom that needs words of encouragement to see the big picture and to find strategies for their self-care. Become an insider for self-care for busy moms. The link will be in the show notes. Hey Mama! Thank you for listening to the end. If you enjoyed today's episode, would you bless another mom who's looking for simple routines to feel healthy again? Also, please leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcast. I'm always so encouraged to know that this podcast is helping you. Together, we can encourage one another for long-term strength and health because it matters to our families and for future generations to come. Just a reminder that I am not a substitute for medical advice. God bless you.